Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in quite a few of my other recipes you will see me using a homemade hot sauce, and I've had quite a few questions about, well, how do you make your hot sauce? So that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to do a beautiful fermented hot sauce that you can play around with, get your flavour profiles how you like it, and it's really simple to do. So let's do it. Right, so I'll really quickly run through the ingredients, but I'll leave all the ingredients and the weights and everything down below, so don't worry, you don't have to write anything down, but just really quickly so you know what you're looking at. So the chili I'm using today is just a red jalapeno chili. Now I like using this chili because it's got a really nice flavour to it. It's not raging hot, it's got a nice heat profile on it, and so when you eat the sauce you get a nice bit of heat at the back of your palate, the back of your throat, but it's not gonna it's not sucking on the blowtorch or anything, so it's going to be really nice. So I got this from a company called Chili Mash here in the UK. They're really good, they sell loads of stuff on there, so go and check them out. The other things that we got is we've got 6 tablespoons of sugar in here. We've got some hibiscus flowers, cardamom pods, and some black peppercorns. In here we've got some garlic powder. Now you can use fresh garlic if you want to, but because we're going to blend this at the end, I've just found that garlic powder just works a lot better. Don't use garlic salt because we'll be controlling the salt ourselves, so this is just garlic powder. Then we've got some paprika, so we've got 4 tablespoons of sea salt here, and I'm going to put about 2 teaspoons of this peppery pul biber. I don't even know how to pronounce it, I have no idea. That, so we're going to put some of that in there. I got that from Waitrose, by the way, just in case you're wondering. And then also we've got a litre of water. You may need a little bit more, it's about covering the chilies in this case, so but we've got a litre to start with. And then I've got a 3 litre Kilner jar. Now Kilner is a brand, there are available. I just found these are really good quality. They keep in nice and sealed, and then if you store it long term, they're really good. They've not failed me, but other brands are available. So this is half a kilo of chilies here. I probably won't use all of these chilies, but you know, to be honest, I think they cost about £5. It's like nothing at all. The only thing I would say, get yourself a pair of black gloves. Cutting chilies and then rubbing your eye, you're going to know about it. So try to be very careful, get yourself a pair of gloves. So all I'm going to do here is take the ends off, and then I'm just going to split the chili down the middle. So the reason I'm doing that, as you can see, I'm not taking out any of the seeds or anything like that. You can do if you want to, you can take the seeds out. I just prefer the flavour and the heat that you get from it. I'm kind of like maximising the use of this chili, so I personally leave them in. You don't have to, and basically what you're doing by splitting it open is just allowing all the water and all the salt and sugar and all the spices that we're going to put in to penetrate this and start that fermentation process, because that's what we really want to happen. We want to get the fermentation going. So what I'm going to do to gauge it, I'm going to get my Kilner jar, stick that to one side, and then, like I say, just split the chili and then bung it in. Okay, so it's really simple. So we're going to add the rest of our ingredients, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of water to begin with, so just a tiny bit. And then what we're going to do is shut that lid down and give it a good old mix up. So you start getting all those spices jamming together and start mingling from the off. Okay, next we're going to add our chilies back in. So carefully as you can, put those back in, good. And then lastly we're going to add the rest of our water in, and all we're looking to do is cover chilies. Right, so not, the litre wasn't quite enough, so I'll quickly go and grab some more water and add that in. Right, and just top up the rest of the way. So about 1.5 litres I've used. I'm going to close that lid down and then give it a nice little mix up, just making sure we've got everything combined, and so it'll start penetrating all of those chilies. Look, That's what you want, so all nice and combined. Okay, so I completely covered this with water now, so you can see the chilies are totally covered. Getting a really good mix now, so all the herbs, the spices, the sugar, the salt, they've all combined and they start doing their magic. What you've got to do, and you've got to do this every day, is what's called burping. So every day you've got to come along and you've got to release that catch and let the carbon dioxide come out. What you see is the carbon dioxide bubbles coming up through the brine, and what that is that's the fermentation. That's what you want. So you've got all the cells, everything breaking down to make that beautiful hot sauce. So that's perfect. Now sometimes a little white sort of film will kind of like appear on the top, and that's just a yeast that sometimes forms. Now the only word of warning I would say is just make sure your kiln jar is completely clean. So give it a really good wash, scalding hot water. Try and sterilize it as much as possible, so the only bacteria you've got in here is what you've introduced yourself, so you know it's safe. So we're going to take this indoors, we're going to put it on the kitchen worktop, not in the direct sun, and we're just going to leave it. So we're going to leave it for 2 to 3 weeks, burping it every day, and then what you see is towards the end of that time, the speed that the bubbles are coming out, you see them kind of like bubbling up, starts to really slow down to a point where they almost stop, and you have to give it a bit of a shake to actually stir anything up, and that basically tells you that the fermentation's done as much as it's really going to do, and then it'll be on to the next step. So I'll cut back in 2 weeks time, 2-3 weeks time, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so it's been a few days now. I just want to quickly show you something. So you can see here where you've got all the spices and the paprika and everything that we've added, and the water has separated. Now this is completely normal. Do not worry about this. We will sort this out later in the process, but this is completely normal. So when we actually come to finish up our hot sauce, we will use something called xanthan gum. The xanthan gum is something that's used in food processing. If you look in most chili sauces, you'll see this as a product that's being used. And basically what this does is make things shelf stable. It will combine the water and the chilies and everything together and keep it completely combined. So do not worry about that. But I just want to quickly show you the burping. So if you remember earlier in the video, I told you that every single day you would just have to burp it. Well, I'm going to quickly show you that now. So if I can open this up and you see it go, and then you see all the bubbles start to come up, and those bubbles are the carbon dioxide that I told you about. Now if you do really worry about the separation, just give the old bottle a good old shake and it'll just mix it up again. It will separate again, but you can just keep doing it if you really want to. But the important bit is that you're just burping it every day, you're keeping an eye on that carbon dioxide bubbling up, and then when that really slows down, then you know your fermentation is finished and it's time to move on to the next step. So now the fermentation process is finished, it's time to actually make a hot sauce. So get yourself a saucepan and a sieve, and you're going to pour all of the brine into the actual saucepan, but don't throw any of that away. We're going to use that later. Once you've done that, get yourself your blender and then add all your chilies to it, trying to keep out any of the kind of like cardamom and things like that that you don't particularly want. So just put all the chilies in there, and as you can see, the sieve has caught all the bits that we don't want in the sauce, so we can just chuck those away. Next, I'm going to add some of the brine back, and this is basically to help the blender kind of blend all the chilies up. Don't add too much at the start. We're going to add it as and when we need to as we go through the blending process, and then just give it a bit of a whiz up, and if you think it's too thick, then just add some more of that brine in. And this is the sort of consistency I'm aiming for. Once we've done that, it's time to get rid of all the pulp and all the skin. So get your sieve in your saucepan, pour into batches, and then remembering to wear some gloves, remember it is chili, get your hand in there and just mix it around, and you get all that chili sauce come through the sieve, and then we can keep that bit in the saucepan and then chuck the other bit away, because also you don't want that. And this is the sort of consistency we'll end up as. Next it's onto the hob. So we're going to heat this through, but we're not going to boil it. We're going to take it to just under boiling, and this is going to pasteurize the chili sauce, which means we can keep it in the fridge a lot longer. Now I like a sweet chili sauce, well, slightly sweet anyway. So what I do is add honey and also brown sugar to it, and I add it bit by bit just so I can taste it as it's going, to make sure I'm getting to the right balance of heat and sweetness. So it's actually the next day. I've let the chili sauce completely cool down, and this is because I want to add that xanthium gum to stabilize this. So what xanthium gum does is basically combines the water and the chili. Remember earlier on in the video I showed you that they naturally want to separate, and basically what xanthium gum does is make it food or shelf stable, shall we say. So the trick with this is just to add a little bit at a time. It's really powerful stuff. To just add a tiny little bit, have a look at the consistency of the chili sauce, make sure it's what you want. If you want it thicker, add more. If you don't, obviously don't add so much. But it's easier just to add it rather than dump a load in and think, oh nuts, I've had too much. So now it's time to bottle all these up. So all I've done is got the bottles. These are glass bottles, you can easily buy them on Amazon, and I put boiling water into them prior to adding the sauce, and what that does is basically sterilize them. So you want to try and make sure there's no bacteria in these bottles at all. Also, the longer that you can store them, the better. So get yourself one of these funnels. They are really helpful. Just fill your bottles up. Any that I have over spare, so I filled up 2 bottles here, is that I then get a smaller jar, and this will keep in the fridge for at least 2-3 months, and I just use it to top up the bottles once they get used. So thanks very much for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the channel, and also check out my other videos. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.